You can cure depression in 50 seconds, guaranteed. Cure depression. You have to do these mandatory things, and I guarantee you that your depression will just go away in less than 60 seconds. One of the videos that I'm about to debunk literally says that. I'm Dr. Courtney, a licensed therapist. Let's dive in.
How to cure depression. I'm not kidding. I'm going to show you how it's actually done. And this does not require any forms of medication either. What's the opposite of depression? Like you've got up, down, left, right, hot and cold. What's the opposite of depression? Expression.
No. Okay. The opposite of depression is not expression, and the opposite of expression is not depression. Depression is a serious mental health, medical sometimes, and clinical diagnosis and disorder. And even if somebody doesn't have a depressive disorder, depression itself is still not the opposite of expression. What?
So depression comes from when you're not expressing the authentic version of you. For example, say your health, your relationship, and your career were the most important things to you. And say your health, relationship, and career was turning to shit. It was really, really terrible in all those areas. How would that make you feel? You would feel terrible. And if you do that for a long enough period of time, that feeling of down or shit transforms itself into depression. Because no one's born with depression. I haven't met any babies that were born with it.
I haven't met any babies born with depression. I mean, what are you talking about? I can't. That is not any clinical reason to say that people aren't born depressed because you haven't met any babies that have depression. What does that even mean? Depression does not result from not focusing on your health, your family, or whatever he said, your relationships. Often symptoms of depression can start to form slowly, body changes, brain changes, environmental changes that then cause those areas of your life to start to decrease. If it was as easy to cure depression as this person is saying, then people who improve their family life, their health, and their environment or their relationships wouldn't be depressed anymore. There are still depressed people that have all of those things going well, and they may need to take medication for it. I don't even have anything else to say about this one. Let's go to the next one.
One of the greatest things I've learned that I'm still learning is that like food really helps with depression.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm an emotional eater, so my weight fluctuates. Mm-hmm. So like I get sad and want to eat a Twix or like pizza and stuff like that. But it would make me more depressed.
It's so funny that Twix is your
I love Twix.
your go-to.
But then I learned that when I ate like higher vibrational foods, I wasn't so down.
What are higher vibrational foods?
And just that like healing is such a up and down experience. Like it's not just like shoo and then I'm gonna become a fairy godmother and fly away.
Right.
Like,
I'm healed. I'm fine.
No.
And then forever you're healed and fine.
No, I don't know if that's for anyone.
I love that she says that. And I actually love the way that she's talking about this in such a calm way. It's so different than other people who are like, here's how you're going to solve your depression. And it's just like so in your face. I don't know what high vibrational foods are, but what I can say is one thing that she did mention is actually pretty good advice. She didn't say it like this, but when you are experiencing feelings of depression and you go into something called emotional eating, that can start to have you using the food as comfort, which I think it's fine to use food as comfort. But if you're only using food as comfort to get your body and your brain into a different state of being, then you're actually just putting a blanket over the depression instead of trying to do things that could actually improve the depression. Like she said, eating higher vibrational foods, which I don't know if that just means healthier foods because she said Twix. Twix is fine if you're depressed, as long as it's not all that you're eating. But hopefully it's just more healthy food or more routine food that's actually helping her improve.
I'm going to show you how to cure depression. None of this antidepressant bullshit. Here are 3 mandatory things you need to add to your life right now to cure depression.
Okay, first thing about this one, how to cure depression in 50 seconds. What? You can't even go get a Band-Aid to put it on like a splinter in 50 seconds. What do you mean you can cure depression? He also says these are things that are mandatory for you to add into your life and says none of this antidepressant BS. Listen, if you don't want to take medications, that's okay. But you don't need to say that medications in themselves are BS. There's so much wrong. Let's keep going.
Number 1, exercising and eating healthy. When we exercise, there's a hormone called serotonin, and that is responsible for us feeling good. And when we eat healthy, The food we're eating with good nutrients goes into our body and makes us feel good.
Serotonin doesn't only come out during exercise and when you're eating healthy, and also many other chemicals, hormones, and neurotransmitters are released when you eat healthy and when you exercise. He thinks that just because he used the word serotonin, that he's giving insight into how to cure depression. No. Overall, eating healthy and exercising can be really helpful for depression, but the way that he's saying it isn't actually helpful for anyone.
Number 2. Meditate. You have to be able to step away and observe your thoughts and not let your thoughts control you.
I actually really like the way that he described meditation. Sometimes people incorrectly describe meditation as a way to remove all of your thoughts from your brain. We can't do that. We cannot do that, but we do observe our thoughts. It teaches us to have a different relationship with them. And usually when we're experiencing depressive disorders or depressive symptoms, we are thinking negatively about ourselves, our world, and the people in it. So this is actually pretty good advice. However, it can be really hard to start meditating, and it's not always the best solution for people with depression. So I would never use the word mandatory.
Very similar to meditation, but it's putting your thoughts on a piece of paper, observing your thoughts. These are the 3 ways that are going to help you cure your depression. I guarantee you. If you do it the right way, it will work.
No. Why do all these videos say the word cure? And then he also says, I guarantee. You can't guarantee anything in life, especially when it comes to mental health. Guarantee? No. Journaling is actually also very helpful. I like the way that he talked about observing your thoughts. Here's a really cool way to think about journaling. Yes, you're taking your thoughts and your feelings, you're getting them out of your head and out of your body and onto paper. But one really great thing about journaling that I recommend to my clients is that you go back again. You don't just observe the words that you wrote in that entry that day. You actually wait until you don't feel or think the way you were feeling or thinking, whether that's later that day or the next day or a week from then. And then you read what you wrote. Either it will help you see that what you've done in the past week hasn't really improved your depression because you still feel and think the same words and feelings that you wrote, or you can realize, wow, in that moment, I felt like I was so hopeless and worthless, and I feel differently today. So those feelings and thoughts can pass.
3 signs of high-functioning depression.
High-functioning depression is not a real thing. It's not a real diagnosis. I talk about the word high-functioning all the time. It's been used in very stigmatizing and derogatory ways in multiple mental health communities, including the autistic community. But it does make sense from the outside. When somebody says, you don't seem depressed, you don't seem autistic, you don't seem anxious, you don't seem traumatized. Often people who have mental health issues are raised in a world or in a family where they can't have them and they must mask them. And so they appear to be high functioning, but all that's really happened is that they've developed survival skills that allow them to ignore their thoughts and feelings to appear high functioning and to not completely break down sometimes.
Number 1, you get your work done, but it's only enough to get by.
The first tip that he gave makes no sense at all. That is not a criteria for having depression in the first place. So you wouldn't have high functioning depression. You wouldn't have depression at all if this was something that you did. Sometimes people just do the minimum work that they need to do because their job sucks.
2, you don't skip school or work, but you're exhausted when you get home because you've been faking being okay all day long.
Now that second one's pretty good because that's what I was talking about. Yes, we fake to be okay. That is part of the high functioning aspect of any mental health condition. So I'll give him that one.
And number 3, coping through avoidance, such as TV, video games, social media, and substance abuse.
Calling that avoidance kind of makes sense. You could also call it numbing or distraction, but avoidance seems to work. But it doesn't mean that you have high functioning depression. It could mean so many different things. It can mean you don't have any mental health issues. It could mean you have high functioning some other type. Just no, so generalized. Not awful, but I think that he is trying to really be helpful, but there's a lot missing.
I'm a psychologist, and here's the top 5 things that someone with depression wants you to know.
Ooh, I like her. She's my friend. Dr. Julie. Let's see what she has to say.
Number 5, depression is not a choice, and they can't just snap out of it.
Yes.
Number 4, when they take days to answer a text or keep cancelling plans at the last minute, it's nothing you did wrong. Their conflict is not with you, it's with themselves.
This is so accurate also. I mean, it's not totally accurate. The person really may not be responding to the person that texted them because maybe they're mad at them or they disrespected them or downplayed their depression. It could be lots of reasons. But oftentimes when people are depressed, they actually experience the clinical symptoms of depression. And 2 of them include lethargy and not finding pleasure in things that you used to find pleasure in. And so it's just that maybe they want to reach out, but their brain is just telling them like, I don't deserve connection and I wouldn't have fun even if I went to go do something.
Number 3, the reasons for depression can't always be seen, but not knowing the reason does not make that depression any less valid.
Exactly.
Number 2, you might think that person is not trying hard enough, but that's because when you're depressed, even the simplest of tasks can feel like a mountain to climb.
This is why I reacted the way that I did last week to the last episode where I was looking at these things when Jordan Peterson was talking about depression and just said like, you have to eat a huge meal and you have to do this and you have to do that. It's hard to do those things when you're struggling with your mental health.
And number 1, they're still the same person, but they're going through hell right now and they may need you more than ever.
That first one was really great. Okay, let's check out the last one.
Do you want to know what depression is actually like? Depression is sleeping through the day in a dark room. Depression is ignoring calls and texts from family and friends. Depression is feeling lonely but not wanting company. Depression is a disease. It's called the silent killer for a reason. If you're still here today, I love you.
This is actually one of my friends too, and I like this video. However, I think that he should have made the distinction here about the fact that, he says, do you want to know what depression is actually like? So it sounds good because I think he's trying to just describe maybe some of like the behaviors that will happen when somebody's depressed, their activities or actions, and not the criteria or symptoms of depression. I kind of just wish that he separated those two. Depression is a really serious, debilitating mental condition. Depression gets you to a place where, at least over the last 2 weeks, you have been severely struggling with symptoms like restlessness, irritability, muscle aches, lethargy, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and it can lead to thoughts of feeling like you don't want to be alive anymore. And so some of these videos are just, they're mind-blowing. And of course, maybe they're trying to be helpful, but it goes to show that there's a large number of people who are talking about depression, and they're not realizing that the depression community is filled with a lot of people that have serious depressive disorders. And these types of videos giving them advice and telling them if they just do this in 50 seconds, they'll be cured is actually really dismissive. So keep watching here. As always, I'm so glad that each and every one of you exist. Thank you for being here, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.